What's up, everybody? Today we've got a couple relationship stories. One where a suggestion kind of took a turn for the worst, and the other where some different philosophies on money might become a problem. Let's get started. First up, my wife of 10 years wants an open marriage after I advised her to use Tinder as a confidence boost. I'm not really sure how this is going to end well. My wife and I have always been on the bigger side. After our second child, now 4 years old, I made a lot of lifestyle changes. I started going to the gym, doing powerlifting and running a lot. I tried to encourage my wife to participate, and in the beginning, she was really enjoying going to the gym, but eventually she relapsed into bad habits. I'm not one to push too much, and I always assured her I would love her no matter what size she was. We were still having sex about 3 or 4 times a week, in which we both always enjoyed and pushed each other to try new things. Recently, my wife noticed that a woman from my gym had commented on one of my gym videos on Instagram. It was a video of me beating my personal record in a deadlift, with about 10 people from the gym cheering me on, including the woman who commented. The comment was along the lines of, "Fantastic result, on to the next." I can understand my wife's insecurity, but I reassured her there is literally nothing there. This is someone I occasionally chat to during exercises, and one of the guys helping me in the video is her husband. Anyway, basically, it came down to her feeling I was getting far more attractive than her, and she was afraid I would leave her for some young and beautiful girl at the gym. We got into a friendly discussion, and I proclaimed that if we were both to make a Tinder account now, she would probably still end up getting far more matches than me. Knowing that there are infinite amounts of horny guys, I was finally sure of my hypothesis. I've never been on a dating app myself, but I assumed as a decent-looking 39-year-old that is in shape, I would get some matches. We both installed Tinder and bought the Tinder Gold option so we could swipe in another city, both terrified of neighbors seeing us or something. We decided to put our locations to London and then started watching a movie. The mood during all this was giggly and fun. After the movie, 2 hours, we both checked our phones again. My wife had 330 likes. You can see who has swiped you with Tinder Gold. And I had 1. Her phone was blowing up. The first guy to start talking to her looked like a cross between Khal Drogo and The Rock, who was also a dentist, was sure to show this in his pics, and was very down for meeting my wife tonight. I could tell right there and then, from my wife's reaction, that all this attention was turning her on. We sat together on her phone for about half an hour, just watching these messages pour in. So many compliments from 6'2" male model types, guys wanting to meet up, guys sending their number. Every kind of race and type of guy was there to choose from at her fingertips. When she asked about my matches and saw I only had 1, she let out an "Aw, at least I still want you, honey." Call me crazy, but this is the moment I saw in her eyes that everything was different. It was like she was suddenly realizing that she could do, quote, better than me and screw an unlimited amount of hot guys. We deleted our accounts that night and didn't really talk about it much more. I, for one, was scared to bring it up and felt humiliated that I had only gotten 1 match. To make it worse, she looked far worse than my wife, and my wife even made fun of my match. Over the course of the next weeks, my wife started to reject my sex more and more. 2 months later, we hadn't had sex in a month. She was cold, bitter, started to have mood swings. This is when I let my bad side get the better of me. One day she was visiting her mom. I grabbed her work laptop that she always stores in her office drawer and decided to see what I could find. I found out that she was using Tinder on her work laptop browser and had been talking to guys from all over the world the past weeks. Dubai, New York, California, you name it, she had swiped there. The conversations mentioned her being single, and every one was sexually explicit in nature. All the guys she was talking to were 10 years younger than us too. Then, I decided to try web.whatsapp.com to see if she would have left that logged in. I felt sick to my stomach reading her WhatsApp messages, but I had to know. I discovered that her 2 best friends, who have recently become single also and have been dating a lot on Tinder, have been pushing her to realize what you can get, and have been trying to get her to leave me or force me into having an open marriage. She often sends them screenshots of the guys she is matching with and is openly contemplating cheating on me. I've been spying on her work laptop whenever she is out now for about 3 weeks, but she still doesn't know. Yesterday, she very lightly brought up the open marriage to me, but framed it in a way that made it seem like I could do whatever I wanted and that she knew I'd want to fool around. She claims to not be using Tinder anymore since our experiment. I'm just absolutely devastated. A few months ago, and we were great, and now it feels like my life is falling apart. It seems so animalistic what is happening. I don't want to believe my wife is this shallow, but it seems like she thinks she can do better than me and just wants to mess around with hot guys. From what I can tell, she hasn't yet, but she has added a few guys from Tinder to her WhatsApp and been flirting with the idea of meeting them. In no way, shape, or form will I ever accept an open marriage. I have of course made screenshots of everything and even a recording of the conversation on her laptop screen. For me, it feels like my marriage is already over. It's like I have been given a window into a part of my wife's mind that I wish didn't exist. I felt bad sometimes for looking at a girl's ass in the gym for more than 5 seconds and could lose sleep over how I might be betraying my wife by having indecent thoughts, etc. Yikes, OP. Your wife is really messed up. I'm so sorry to hear what you are going through. Her mentality is destructive and dumb and self-centered. The disturbing part is you have 2 children. A marriage without love and respect is not one to raise children in. Even though the transition is really challenging, a divorce might be the best thing for you and your kids. It would probably be better for the 2 of you to raise them while separated, rather than having them poisoned by that toxic environment. She's probably still going to go through with everything because her friends are encouraging her, but she's also going to do everything she can to not look like the bad guy in the relationship. She'll say whatever she can to reel you back in and then flip it around and make you feel like the bad guy over something. Don't fall for this. Trust me. Tell her, you lied to me. I know you're still using Tinder and are having explicit discussions and are saying you're single, so we're done. You can still be a good father. She'll mess around and it's going to kill you inside, but it's going to be easier than her being terrible towards you and probably cheating. And you'll get your life back quicker this way. The part that's going to be rough is her trying to change public opinion since she's being a terrible person. Tell anyone that cares to ask the truth. One day your kids are going to find out the truth anyway, so don't go trying to tell them and speak bad about their mom. Just keep being a good dad. You're going to be okay. It sucks and it's scary, but you're going to be okay. The worst thing is being around someone who is acting terrible towards you because of their own self-delusions, but you still can't call them out on their delusions, or it just gets worse. It's much better to just create space between the 2 of you and not put up with their bad treatment of you. Dignity is one of those things that can slowly tear you apart when you lose it, but is the type of thing that makes you get up out of bed and take care of yourself and people important to you when you have it. Choose yourself. You have to for your kids' sake. Ugh. Alright. Next up, my 25 female boyfriend, 28 male, of 2 years is obsessed with leveling the field of our upbringings by rejecting his family's money. I worry about his disregard for his financial future, but he thinks his family's wealth will cause long-term problems in our relationship. Mo money, mo problems. Let's see how this one goes. I grew up very poor, and despite being able to do well for myself as an adult, most of my extended family still live far, far below the poverty line. My boyfriend, on the other hand, comes from a rich family, but he lives relatively modestly, so most people don't even know this about him. We both do well in our careers, but he makes about $25,000 more than me. Since lockdown, we've been living together and have been sharing finances in the past 6 months. Because of this, I've been able to pad my savings quite a bit and also give some money to my family members who have been impacted by COVID. 1 or more people in my family have asked me for financial help probably 1 to 2 times a month. Nothing crazy, but $200 to $300 to get by and keep the kids fed. I take this out of my own savings voluntarily because I want to help them if I'm in a position to do so. However, my boyfriend thinks I think of it as a nuisance and have voiced his concerns to me every single time I send money to my family. His family had some drama concerning his great-grandfather's inheritance that led to a disownment, a suicide, and general animosity among his extended family. So he gets really concerned for me and my relationships with my family when it comes to money. He knows I'm the first person in my family to break out of poverty, and he constantly comments about how I should live below my means and not flash my relative wealth in front of my family to 1, be considerate of their feelings, and 2, to discourage them from viewing me as an ATM. He really obsesses over this. When we visited my hometown last year, he suggested we rent an older model car so we don't pull up like flashy jerks in our new cars. When I'm buying gifts for birthdays and holidays, he will comment things like, "Are they going to expect something like this every time?" Or, "Just make sure someone doesn't feel left out if their gift isn't as nice." I used to be so carefree and almost proud of helping my family with money because we've never had any money before. But my boyfriend's comments have made me seriously doubt my behavior in the past few years, making me wonder if I really am coming off as a bragging butthole. To top it all off, he is supposed to inherit a large sum of money when he turns 30. His parents set this up for him and his siblings when each of them was born. His siblings used the money to buy houses and start businesses. My boyfriend has increasingly stated that he wants to return the money to his parents and reject any future handout from them. Cool, all within his rights to do so. But he says he wants to reject the money for the sake of our relationship, because he feels a large imbalance of finances could ruin our dynamic and cause contempt and distrust between us. We fought over this a couple of times, which just enforced his beliefs. I was upset because, 1, I was offended he thought I would be so petty and despise him over his inheritance. I do well enough for myself and have never needed to borrow money from him or anyone, which I'm a bit proud of. 2, he keeps emphasizing that it's for the health of our relationship, but can't really defend his own point. I asked what if we have a family and want to set up a schooling fund for our kids. He says we can do that from our own incomes. I ask him, what if one of us has an accident, can't work, and we can't afford to raise kids and set up a school fund on one income? He says as long as we have a healthy mind, we can work. I asked what if something happens in the future and we don't end up together? If my background or upbringing isn't a factor, would he feel comfortable accepting his family's money? He got really upset that I would hypothesize us not ending up together and said it's the only way to level the field and build a strong equal relationship. I'm generally not really prideful or egotistical, but whenever he says that, it rubs me the wrong way, and I just can't articulate why. I also don't want this to cause any issues between himself and his own family, and for him to tell them the same reasoning, quote, doing it for our relationship. Ultimately, if he wants to turn down their help, he is totally free to do so. I just don't really understand his reasons, and I sometimes feel like he's not thinking enough about the long-term future and how it could affect him. In my mind, I'm thinking there are so many uses for that money. Start his own company, invest it, buy some property. Hell, just donate it to some worthy causes. I guess I just don't get it. You two are coming from completely different experiences, which is why you see things different. It sounds like his experiences have been that money causes problems, and your experience is that it can be used to solve them. He doesn't seem overly concerned about the money you both earn. Rather, his concern is from money that isn't earned, comes from family. His past has shown him that financial imbalances lead to resentment, anger, and dysfunction. His concern, perhaps, is that his family distributing money has caused problems among them, and he's concerned that you distributing money to your family could cause similar issues. Your concerns are also completely valid, so if you can communicate well, you may be able to come to some compromise that addresses both your concerns and his. For example, if you took the money he's getting and put it somewhere largely inaccessible for some time, you'd have an emergency fund if needed, but wouldn't be able to access it easily, so it would almost be out of sight, out of mind. I'm not sure this is exactly the way to go, but some sort of thing where the money is there, but not really accessible. Another great option might be to see a financial advisor and see if they can offer some options that can address both your concerns. Good luck to you.